Lockdown day 6, and today on Sport SA Daily Diaries we'll be chatting to ex-Bafana Bafana midfield maestro Stanton Fredericks. Good morning, and we're on day 6 of the lockdown and day 6 of Sport SA Daily Diary. We've got a fantastic guest with us today. We've got Bafana and Bafana Chiefs Pirates Wits midfielder maestro Stanton Fredericks. Morning or afternoon, Stanton. How are you doing today?
Hi Adam, how are you? I'm good, and you? Can't complain.
Good, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
How's the lockdown treating you, Stanton?
You know what? I think it's a little early days, so managing, training a bit with the family, trying to do things that you haven't been doing for work as well. So slowly getting there. But I think if you ask me this question later down the line, it's going to be a different answer. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all just in a bit of a state of flux at the moment. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on. And mate, have you been keeping fit at all? Have you been doing any form of exercise?
Yes, I have. I think that's the only thing that's keeping me sane. So what I've done is my daughter, my son, and my wife. So I'm the instructor, and then we do it at least once a day. We go for about an hour. So trying to do that and keep sane and at the same time manage the belly.
Yeah, I'm sure it certainly is a challenge. I've got a 250-meter route around my garden, and it's done it twice already, and already getting a bit bored. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like after day 21.
Yeah.
Stan, you had a very successful football career. You've played for some big clubs. You've played in Europe. Did you always know that you were going to play football, or did you always want to play football? I mean, how did your career start growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I grew up in Johannesburg at a township called Westbury Nuclear, and I'm from a single parent. Okay, so she understood the environment that I was going to grow up in, so she was very strict, and she always maintained that schoolwork was first. So playing football, I actually started at a late age. I obviously played in the streets growing up, but when I joined a team, like a proper team, was only at the age of like 13. And because my mom obviously just wanted me to focus on my schoolwork. And I always knew that I had ability, but I was never the best. But the passion and the love for the game was always there. Every free minute I would get, we would be in the streets playing football. And then only once I finished matric did I then join Wits University, which is now Bidvest Wits. And after finishing school, I think it actually happened very quickly for me within 2 years. But funny enough, before I turned professional, I actually worked for Liberty Life as a junior underwriter for a year. And being in the corporate space, and understanding that you need to work from 9 to 5, I had that taste. And when I got the opportunity to trial out for the under-20 national team, I then made the preliminary team, and that's when I decided. I told my mom, I said, "Listen, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm forgetting about work now. I want to give football a bang." And blessedly, it all turned out for the good.
That's amazing, though. You really just started playing matric, and then your first real team was the under-20s. I mean, that's a phenomenal rise. Normally, it's very much the other way around, eh?
Yeah, I tell you what, really, you have moments in your life that really change it for you. And I'll never forget that I always felt that I had the ability to play at a professional level. So one afternoon, under 17 national team played against England under 17 national team. And after that game, the under 23 national team played against Man United under 23s, which was Paul Scholes, Beckham, and that team. Jeez. And because I was based in Liberty Life in Braamfontein, and the game was played at Mill Park Stadium down the road, I actually took half day off to go watch these games. And I walked from Braamfontein to the stadium and I watched it. And after seeing those two games, I told myself I have the ability to do this. And I never looked back, man.
That's amazing. That's a real story there in its own right. And Stiga, you've played for Chiefs and Pirates. There can't be too many players that can say that. And how did the Chiefs fans take to you once you? I mean, obviously you moved to a number of other teams before you went to Pirates, but how did the Chiefs fans take to you once you pulled on that white and black shirt?
Yeah, I got to be honest. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy decision because I left Kaizer Chiefs. I went to FC Moscow in Russia for 3 years. And funny enough, when I traveled to play abroad, when I eventually played abroad, um, I never got called up for Bafana again. And normally it was the reverse. If you're in Europe and you're playing in Europe, you were automatic choice for Bafana. So I played most of my games for Bafana whilst being local for Kaizer Chiefs. And then there was the 2006 World Cup in Germany. And I would have been 26 years old then. And it was possibly the last chance of playing in a World Cup. And my decision to come back was because of that. And I came back wanting to come back to Kaizer Chiefs, but Kaizer Chiefs at the time, I think financially, they were not happy with my expectations. And there was a stage where I was on my way to Sundowns, but Orlando Pirates swooped in. And so that is why I came. And then making that decision, it wasn't an easy one. But the goal for me was to get back in the national team and play for the World Cup. So that is why I decided to go to Orlando Pirates and why they were looking to sign me up. But I do think that it wasn't as bad as I thought it would have been. I think South African fans, and we can see with the Soweto derby that it's the only derby in the world where opposition can sit next to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I never got a lot of grief on the field whilst playing. But when you do stop at the petrol station, when you're in the street, those questions will always come up. But when playing for Orlando Pirates, the fans never really jeered me, so which was a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd moved from Man United to Liverpool, it's a completely different story. But
yeah, like Figo when he moved from Madrid to Barcelona, yeah, or
exactly.
Barcelona to Madrid, yeah.
But I must say that is one thing I love about South African football is the fact that you can go to a stadium with a mate if they are a fan of the opposition and you can sit together. You wouldn't dare do that in the UK. And I've had some seriously dodgy experiences watching matches in the UK and completely ignorant to it. I think it's one of the best things about South African football.
Even in Greece, I tell you what, when the rivalry is so big that at certain games, they would not allow fans from the opposition to attend. If you look at Thessaloniki PAOK, when they come up against Olympiacos, there's so much fighting and injuries and even deaths. So that's how bad it can get. And as you mentioned, it's just a beautiful thing about our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sticks, tell me about your debut for Bafana Bafana. That must have been a moment that will live with you forever.
Yeah, for sure. I almost thought it wasn't coming because when we finished the Sydney Olympics with the under-23 teams, your expectation is now to graduate to the national team. And for a while there, I wasn't selected. And when you see your peers going through Benny McCarthy, Aaron Mokoena, slowly the boys are filtering through to the national team, and then you just wait and wait and wait. But it never happened when I wanted to. But my manager at the time really told me, he says, listen, easy come, easy go. And I'll never forget that. Easy come, easy go. Because I was playing possibly 5 or 6 years in the PSL. Yeah. And I never got my call up. But you would get players that would come in their first season, they'd get a call up, and it sometimes disheartened me. But nevertheless, I kept my focus thanks to my manager at the time. He was like, you do your job here, and when the time is right, you're gonna get into that team. And when you do get into that team, you're going to stay in that team. You're not going to be a 1-2 cap player, And I'll never forget, it was preparation for the France 98 World Cup where Philippe Trouzier, which was the coach of Bafana Bafana, he called up 40 players. He split the squad in two, and the one squad went to go play in Spain against Ecuador. And I can remember that like it was yesterday. So that is where I made my debut, and I'll never forget it, man. It was a really special moment. From the time that you sit in the stands, you watch the Nations Cup team that won it in '96 with John Schumacher, Dr. Khumalo, Mark Williams, and company. As a youngster sitting in that in the stadium, and then one day realizing the dream of wearing that famous Kappa T-shirt, the first one that they used to wear.
Yep.
I'll never forget that. It was a special moment.
Absolutely. And Stigs, is that your standout moment in your career?
I must be honest, there's quite a few, but I always say that the moment that really stood out for me in my career is scoring the winning goal against Ghana that qualified us to play in the Sydney Olympics. I think we came up in a very tough group. It was I think it was Guinea, which was the least the weakest team in the group, and then you had Cameroon, which went on to win the Olympics in Sydney. They beat Brazil in the final. And then they had Ghana. Ghana was lit with stars like Stephen Appiah. It was Appiah. It was so many big names. It was Kingston. There was Michael Essien. It was really a talented generation that we had to beat them. We couldn't draw. If they draw, we would have been out. And the game was played here in South Africa. We won 1-0, and I scored that goal. And so that has really been a special highlight for me in my career.
Okay, that's certainly a special one, that's for sure. Always good to score those goals. Stiggs, I could talk to you about football all afternoon. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. Could you send a message out to South Africans, many of who are probably struggling with the situation, don't understand the situation? Do you have a word of advice for them on how to possibly just stick it out and get through it?
Yeah, I'd love to just share that the responsibility that we have as South African citizens. There is some positives there. It does look like the infection rate is not increasing that badly in South Africa. But we just need to understand the impact that this disease will have on South Africa as a whole economically. It's really going to be difficult for us to come out. So the quicker that we can overcome this and fight this, the better it is for all of us, for business owners, for sports people, for the scholars at school, So we're going to just ask South Africa to stay positive, stay indoors. We know it's not easy. Go out only when you have to. I think the secret is just to stay indoors, man. So we appeal to everybody there to be disciplined, to come together as a country and overcome this quicker than in any other country out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Stiggs. Stiga, thank you so much for joining us today on Sport SA Daily Diary. It's been great chatting to you, and as I said, I could chat to you all day about football, but we need to push on. So thanks for joining us today.
Only a pleasure. Thanks, Adam.
Guys, look out for tomorrow's episode of Sport SA Daily Diary. We'll be joined by the voice behind the Ironman and the Absa Cape Epic, the one and only Mr. Paul K. So we look forward to that. Again, thanks, Stiga. Great to chat to you.
Ciao, Adam.
Tomorrow on Sport SA Daily Diary, we'll be chatting to the voice of the Ironman and the Absa Cape Epic, Paul K.